What does freedom mean to you? Does it mean the freedom to choose? The freedom to have a family and raise your kids according to your own values? What about living a wild, adventurous life, experimenting with music, relationships, or art? What does freedom really mean? What if freedom meant something that only a few Americans still understood? What if it meant that your choices and your values were set by you, rather than by some politician in a far-off capital? Some people think we're only free to choose to live exactly how they live, by their moral code, or their narrow worldviews. But if liberty means anything, it means that you, and you alone, have the power to exercise your rights to which the laws of nature and nature's God granted you. It's time to put these principles back into action. It's time to restore the American dream, activate in our communities, and take our country back. It's time to wake up, America. Good morning. Merry Christmas. Happy Monday. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. All right, let's get this party started. Elon Musk appeared destined to quit running Twitter on Monday after around 10 million people voted for him to step down less than 2 months after he bought the social media platform for $44 billion. We'll talk about that at the top of the show. At 7:30 this morning, John Miltimore, the managing editor for the Foundation for Economic Education, is going to join me on the program. Donald Trump announced that he denounces Nick Fuentes, one of his biggest supporters, a young man who he met with only just a few short weeks ago at Mar-a-Lago's estate in Florida. We'll talk about that with John at 7:30 this morning. And then at 8 a.m. this morning, our old friend Hal Dooley joins us, former Department of Missouri Veterans Affairs. He'll be joining us at 8 a.m. this morning. We're going to talk to him a little bit about the job market, how shaky it still is. People still aren't returning to work. Mostly young white men are not going back to work. Why? We'll discuss that with an old white man. Hal Dooley will join us this morning at 8 a.m. Hal, if you're listening, and I'm just teasing. At 8:30 this morning, we'll speak with Hal about the 12 banned books of Christmas and about a priest, a pro-Trump priest, who was defrocked, removed by orders of the Vatican. Talk about all that and more. But first, you can send us a text at 573-319-1586. That's 573-319-1586 if you'd like to send us a text this morning. You can also send us a super chat at over on YouTube by joining us over at youtube.com/AP4Liberty, and that helps to support the show. We appreciate you very much. Good morning, Andy Opperman, Michael Knipp, Bert Crash, Joni Rankin, and Ann Henry. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning. She says that she voted no on Elon Musk's poll that asked whether or not he should step down as the CEO of Twitter. And he said in the poll specifically that he would abide by the results of the poll. He appeared destined to quit running Twitter after about 10 million people voted for him to step down. Now, this is, again, just less than 2 months after he bought the social media platform and spent $44 billion on this escapade. He asked users late yesterday if he should, quote, step down as head of Twitter, and that he vowed to abide by the results of this poll. The voting ended just before about 6:20 a.m. this morning, with 57.5% of respondents choosing for him to leave. With nearly 17.4 million people voting in that poll, that meant nearly 10 million users wanted to see Twitter no longer run by Musk, who apparently has been fluctuating between being the world's richest man and the second richest man, back and forth. Chris Morrill says, I dig Elon, but I don't really understand what he's been up to lately. Maybe he's doing his 2009 Britney phase. Very funny, Chris. I'm with you. I think that I don't really quite understand what's going on in Elon Musk's head here. It seems as if he's kind of going back and forth, hence the thumbnail photo of today's show being a picture of Harvey Dent from the Batman series. I came up with it when I was thinking, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. One of the decisions that didn't make a whole lot of sense to me yesterday, although as soon as you offer any criticism of any public figure whatsoever, their sycophants always come out of the woodwork immediately, and it's like, "Rah, how dare you criticize him?" It's like, I'm an Elon Musk supporter myself, but no one is immune from criticism. And I think his decision to ban people from posting links to their social profiles on other websites is a mistake. And I essentially said that as much this morning when I was kind of like mocking people who were saying, "Oh, would you let people promote alternative platforms on your website?" And I said, "Yes, yeah, the internet exists because of interconnectivity between websites." And my buddy online, I guess acquaintance Ron Coleman says he didn't say there wouldn't be interconnectivity. Okay, dude. I think I know what he said, Ron. People should be allowed to share their profiles and links to other websites. Right? This is gaslighting. Oh, he didn't say that. Yeah, he did say that. He did say it's no. Do how exactly how clear do I need to be when I say something, right? Oh, you mean that kind of an interconnectivity? Yes, I mean that kind of interconnectivity. How hard is this? Yeah, why didn't you just say that in the first place, Austin? Well, I shouldn't have to spell absolutely everything out in order to be understood. I think it was quite clear what I meant when I said that the internet exists because of interconnectivity between websites, and part of that includes you saying, "Hey, follow me on my other websites." As a matter of fact, and I don't know if this is completely true. I'm not trying to cast aspersions here, but from what I understand, another thing that would be banned on Twitter would be posting like people call these things link trees. So, for example, if you go to my social profile on Twitter, you'll see I have a website called Link Pop. And my website is linkpop.com/AP for Liberty. And if you go to linkpop.com/AP for Liberty, it'll take you to all my social sites. It'll take you to my AP for Liberty shop. It'll take you to my Instagram page, my TikTok, which I never use, as well as like the Libertarian Republic. And this is, and a few little items from my AP for Liberty shop store. And this is a way for me to promote my social profiles on other sites. And here's why. Why do we do this? We do this because conservatives and libertarians and anybody to the right of Joseph Stalin in the past several years has had to do this in order to ensure that if they got banned from one platform, that they wouldn't be removed from another. Right? It was absolutely crucial, and I don't understand why people are defending Elon Musk making this decision, especially because the people who are defending this decision are the people who, up until 2 months ago, before Elon Musk owned Twitter, really needed this kind of a functionality to be able to exist. I mean, there's a reason why I'm streaming on rumble.com right now. I'm streaming on Twitter. I'm streaming on Rumble. I'm streaming on YouTube. I'm streaming on Facebook. Let's see, where are we streaming to this morning? We're streaming on Twitter, Rumble, Twitch, Facebook's page, the Libertarian Republic. You might be watching us on the Libertarian Republic's Facebook page right now. Don't trust government. One person is watching us over there. Liberty Viral Facebook page. We've got people who are watching us on YouTube, youtube.com/AP for Liberty. We've got people who are watching us over at facebook.com/AP for Liberty. So we are streaming on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pages right now this morning. And we're not just doing this just because we want to try and maximize reach. Yes, that's part of it. But we're doing this in large part, especially on Rumble. We're over on Rumble this morning. Hey, my Rumble peeps. Because at any point in time, if you're me, you know that you're always just one step away, one tweet away, one Twitch away, one YouTube video away from being suppressed, from being destroyed, from being pushed aside. And that's why it was so important for the kind of interconnectivity between pages where you could actually post, hey, I'm not going to be on YouTube, or I'm not going to be able to be on Twitter. I mean, how many of us have had sock accounts? Ask yourself this. How many people who are watching this right now have sock accounts? Obviously, raise your hands, not in the chat. Don't say you have a sock account, because obviously now we're all in danger if we do. And you shouldn't post about that. But just in your own place where no one is watching you, if you have a sock account, raise your hands, okay? Here I am raising my hand. Yes, I have sock accounts. You have to have sock accounts in order for you to be able to, if you do business online, for example, I have Facebook and Instagram shops set up, okay? But I don't take my transactions online. All I do is I funnel people away from Instagram or Facebook. Because let me ask you something. If I have, let's say I have the AP for Liberty shop, we sell little machine guns. This is the perfect way for me to plug the AP for Liberty shop. We say, see these the little AR-15. If you're watching this live right now, see the little M16 keychain right down there, that little AR-15. Okay, that's not allowed to be monetized. That's not allowed to be advertised on Facebook or Instagram. That's fine. That's their business. Okay, that's if they want to do that, that's fine. But Instagram keeps asking me, "Hey Austin, you should be able to let people check out online. Let people check out on Facebook. Let people check out on Instagram." Right? You know, instead of having them have to go to Shopify and go to AP for Liberty Shop, just have them check out here, Austin. Oh, sure, Mark Zuckerberg. Sure, Elon Musk. Yeah, that's a great idea. Why don't I allow the websites who despise free speech, who despise people like myself? Why don't I give you the access to my cart and allow you to well, I'll just check out. Yeah, have the customer check out on Instagram. Great idea. Then I get another 90-day ban and I'm not allowed to use Facebook. And all of a sudden, my ability to be able to do business, my ability to transact is just gone. Just like that. Boom. Well, oh yeah, so I should have just used your platform and check out. No, it is extremely important for people who have divergent views, especially people like myself who does not fall into any left or right paradigm, right? Who is more than, happy to criticize the right when I think the right is wrong, criticize the left when I think the left is wrong. I don't fall into any paradigm. People like myself, it's like what's that meme from The Simpsons, Ralphie? I'm in danger. Yeah, I am constantly in danger because you know what? I don't carry water for anybody. Okay, I don't carry anybody's water. No, especially no politicians, no internet weirdos online, no vaxxers, no anti-vaxxers. I'm not pro-Pfizer. I'm not anti-Pfizer. I'm for the truth whenever the truth is the truth, and I am against lies when they are obvious lies. And I don't care who is running. I don't care who is in charge of it. Okay, so the truth is the truth, no matter who says it. And so when it comes to Elon Musk running Twitter, sometimes he's worthy of criticism. These are decisions that are worthy of criticism. These are things that I disagree with. I think these are bad decisions. And the big bad decision that Elon Musk is making is is his love of democracy and his willingness to subject some of the most important decisions that are going on in the world right now. In the world, what Elon Musk is doing on Twitter right now, which you might be watching us right now as we're streaming us on Twitter right now. What Elon Musk is doing with Twitter is extremely important. It's extreme. What Elon Musk is doing to protect democracy is too important to leave up to a vote of the people. Is that does that seem a little hypocritical? Tell me what you think about that. Send us a text 573-319-1586 is the text line. You can also join us over at youtube.com/AP for Liberty. I see we've got about 13 viewers this morning over on Twitter. Good morning. If this is your first time watching us today, make sure you click like, subscribe, or retweet while my opinion is still allowed on Twitter this morning. A.N. Henry this morning says, I would think YouTube takes a cut and may be collected by monthly fees. I'm not so sure. Chris Morrill says, can't stop the signal. Everything goes somewhere and I go everywhere. I know when people use PayPal, they take a nice cut. She says, everyone is worthy of criticism. When Trump put out those cards, I cringed so hard. Oh, we are going to talk about the Donald Trump NFTs today for sure. We'll have to wait until we get back with John Miltimore this morning at 7:30 this morning. But, voting is one of the worst ways to decide what needs to be done. And for some reason, Elon Musk has decided to put major policy changes on deck for voting. He tweeted 13 hours ago, going forward, there will be a vote for major policy changes. My apologies. Won't happen again. Don't do it, Elon. Don't do it. Don't subject democracy to the will of the people. Oh, if that makes any sense at all. It's Christmas week. We've got a few shows this week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday will be a best of. Friday, I'm taking the day off. That's right. I do take some days off. We'll be back with more on the Wake Up America Show at wakeupAmericaShow.com.
I like shooting things, but whenever I can't shoot something, I like to cut things. My life isn't all about shooting and stabbing and cutting, though. Sometimes I have to do actual work, but when I work, I still like to have fun. And there's nothing less fun than trying to cut with a crappy knife. Thankfully, from the ancient sect of Christian knights, who also loved cutting and stabbing, comes a new implement that has received my personal blessing, the Templar knife. Like the ancient sword of Excalibur, you don't choose a Templar knife, it chooses you. You just decide what kind you want on the website first, however, and then order it online, and then it chooses you. The Templar knife comes in a variety of shapes. As a man of culture and taste, I have decided I will never use a terrible knife again. And thanks to the inspiration provided by this excellent product, I have decided to launch a new crusade against anyone using less than superior knives. Join me, brothers and sisters, by visiting uppercuttactical.com/pages/Templar-knives. That's a lot of slashes. For that, you'll need a Templar knife. For 10% off, use code AP for Liberty and join me in a quest for glory, for liberty, for Christendom, for the Templar knife. Get yours today.
Fire.
Your printing company stinks. They charge you too much money and they don't love America enough. We've got the solution. Patriot Printing USA. Whether you're running for office, saving souls, or just need business cards that will get you the new job you've been looking for, Patriot Printing USA has got you covered with the best prices around. Palm cards, brochures, bumper stickers, door hangers, you name it, we've got it. PatriotPrintingUSA.com. That's PatriotPrintingUSA.com.
Want an engaging website to boost your business? You're just a click away from 5-star Fiverr talent. Hundreds of freelancer skills like web design. Head to Fiverr.com today and get something started.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
I would remind you that extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice.
It is better to settle these matters in the courts than on the streets, and new laws are needed at every level. But law alone cannot make men see right.
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. It's 7:21. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. A befuddled President Biden casually maligned the Irish while botching his wife's family history during a gaffe-filled appearance in Delaware on Friday. Let's take a listen to what the President of the United States had to say about the Irish. Take a listen. Hold on one second. There we go. Hold on.
Irish, but I'm not stupid. I married Dominic Giacoppo.
There's the audio.
Best. You're the best. Thank you. I may be Irish, but I'm not stupid. I married Dominic Giacoppo's daughter, so I got a little Italian in me now.
What?
It is remarkable. Right.
Hold on.
Best. You're the best. Thank you. I may be Irish, but I'm not stupid. I married Dominic Giacoppo's daughter.
Pause 1 second here. I may be Irish, but I'm not stupid. So this was an audience of military veterans and federal officials who were kind of puzzled by what they heard there. Some critics, though, took umbrage at the ethnic slur. Hate crime, says self-described Irish Catholic reporter Mary Margaret Olohan. She says, just casual old anti-Irish stereotyping, says Jerry Dunleavy from the Washington Examiner. But other people pointed out that Biden had apparently muddled his wife Jill's genealogy. Giacoppo was actually Jill Biden's grandfather, not her father, wrote Steve Guest. He's a communications advisor for Senator Ted Cruz of Texas. Joe Biden gets the dumbest things wrong. The bizarre comments, which rehashed a line that Biden had used back on St. Patrick's Day earlier this year, came moments before the president spun a chronologically impossible yarn that conjured an apparently mythical Purple Heart for his uncle Frank Biden, who fought in World War II. Latest in a long stream of gaffes, flubs, and outright fabrications that Biden has committed over 5 decades in public life. I may be Irish, but I'm not stupid. I mean, here's the thing. You got to think about this one here. Honestly, that probably would have flown right by me, and I would not have even noticed it if people hadn't pointed out. I may be Irish, but I'm not stupid. I get it. Send us a text this morning at 573-319-1586. Tom D says, I don't think it's a dig at the Irish. I think it's a self-deprecating joke. Okay, yeah, I mean, I think I get that, but still, I may be Irish, but I'm not stupid, which would imply that Irish are stupid. Wouldn't you think that that's what that meant? I don't know. Send us a text this morning. We'd love to hear from you. Wood Hippie this morning says that he's still alive and kicking. Well, that's great to hear, Wood Hippie. You're alive, you're kicking. He says he's wishing everyone the best for the holidays and the coming new year. Wood Hippie, we say Merry Christmas. No, actually, we say Happy Hanukkah, because it is Hanukkah. Happy Hanukkah. Elon has unmasked the way that social media has suppressed conservatives. Fact. Yes, Wood Hippie, that is a fact. Andy Opperman says, does YouTube take a cut of super chats, or do you get all that cash? Yes, YouTube does take a cut of super chats, and I think it's like 25%. Hold on a minute. How much does YouTube take from super chats? That's a good question. See, how much does YouTube take from super? 30%. Okay, that's about what I'm seeing right now. Super chat, 30% of donations goes to YouTube. If you'd like to support the channel and have us get 100% of the profits, the best way to do that is to go to the Wake Up America Show website at wakeupAmericaShow.com and then go to support. However, what I would really like to ask from everybody today, if you really want to support the show, is to actually do something for me today that's totally free. And that's to head over to our website, learaustin.com, and sign up for a free informational packet from my friends over at Lear Capital. They are a precious metals dealer, and they've got all kinds of awesome options, not just about like gold and silver coins, but they've also got what I really recommend, which is their IRA, a gold IRA. You probably already have a lot of money in stocks and bonds invested in a 401k, but did you know that you can actually get a portion of that in gold, which is a really good idea to hedge against inflation, especially with what the Federal Reserve is doing right now. So my big goal today is to ask you to get a free informational packet from learaustin.com. And would you do me a favor if you do sign up for it today? Will you just let me know? Because I'd like to know how effective I am at getting people to do this. So if you do head to learaustin.com, that's LEARAUSTIN, head over there and sign up for one of those free informational packets. They'll send it to you in the mail. You get all of their dealings, what they offer in terms of gold and silver. So you can just check it out, get a catalog in the mail. LEARAUSTIN. Head over there now, and if you do it, just let me know over on the chat. Either text me at 573-319-1586, or in the YouTube chat, just say, hey, Austin, signed up for the free informational packet from your friends at Lear. Would you do that for me today? It's totally free. Just check it out. Head over to learaustin.com, LEARAUSTIN. You can also call 1-800-885-2175. So let me know if you're going to do that for me, because I would really appreciate it, and it helps support the show, and it's totally free to get more information from my friends over at Lear, AUSTIN. There we go. Somebody says they like the snowy background and the juggling snowman. Well, thank you very much. Hey, AP Good Morning says Wicked Kender. Good morning, Wicked. Nice to see you over there on Twitch. Grateful to have you there as a follower and a listener. We appreciate you very much. All right, so where were we? On the news today, Andy Opperman says, already visited the Lear site, my friend. Good, sweet. Thank you, Andy. I appreciate that. And for those of you who have not yet, please do that during the commercial break. It's totally free. You just got to give them your information. They'll send you the info packet either in the mail or through email. We'd love to hear from you. Why anyone is taking any advice, vaccine or any medical advice from politicians instead of their own family doctors is beyond me. I don't know about you, but I get all my medical advice, especially on vaccines, from randos on Twitter. That's for sure. Somebody says, not happening on my phone. No idea. LearAustin.com. Well, that's because you're typing it in a search bar. You need to type it into your www dot, then Lear Austin. You need to type it in, type the URL in. Make sure that you go to learaustin.com. Shut Twitter down, take tax loss, start new platform, says Elizabeth Fanning Press. Yes. Maria says, put candles in my window, Irish Catholic tradition, to let the priest know your home is a safe place to come say mass. It was not safe for the Irish at one point in history. Very true. For a long period of time here in the United States, the Irish were treated in much the same way that blacks were treated in this country. Many Irish were in indentured servitude here in the United States. All right, let's go to a commercial break so we can go and get what? John Miltimore? That's right. John Miltimore, the managing editor of the Foundation for Economic Education. We're going to talk about the Trump NFTs. Yes. We're going to talk about Trump denouncing Nick Fuentes. Yes. We're going to talk about Trump denouncing anti-Semitism. Oy vey! It's a Hanukkah miracle. We'll be back with more on the Wake Up America Show at wakeupamericashow.com.
Want an engaging website to boost your business? You're just a click away from 5-star Fiverr talent. Hundreds of freelancer skills like web design. Head to Fiverr.com today and get something started.
American conservatism is distinct, like America is distinct from the United Kingdom. American conservatism's roots comes out of the Wild West, out of pioneerism. The difference between American conservatives and European conservatives is that Americans are cowboys. We are that God, guns, gold, and girls. It's wild here. And we should stay that way. We shouldn't allow a European version of conservatism to come and infect us here. We like it wide open spaces here, deep in the heart of Texas and all that.
Austin's wife. I want to thank you all for for watching the Wake Up America show with Austin Peterson. This show has been a huge venture for our family, so we would love it if you could join us. I believe in liberty, and I believe in Austin's ability to spread the ideas of liberty. Do you? I want to ask you today to join Peterson's Patriots with a pledge of $17.76 a month. Help us to stay cancel-proof so we can spread the message of limited government across the country. I joined Peterson's Patriots myself, just in a little different way. Visit wakeupAmericaShow.com/support and make your pledge today.
Hey, it's Austin. Thanks for watching and listening to the Wake Up America show. 2022 has been an exciting year for the Peterson household. Steffi and I celebrated our first anniversary, and my new radio program, The Austin Peterson Show, was syndicated in St. Louis just over a month ago. There have been some challenging times, but with the help and support of good friends like you, we've been able to come out even stronger at the end of this year than when we started. I wanted to take a moment to say thank you to the Cantina crew, especially Camelia Peterson, Tolly Owens, Jamie Marie Pope, Chris Morrill, Matt Unruh, Quest Fanning, Elizabeth Fanning Press, Tina Martin Goodrick, John Rail, Jasper Logan, Kathy Jo Loy, Edie Vogel, Grant Sundberg, Anna DePalm, Doug Hill, Andy Opperman, Lyle and Lori Rosberg, John Peterson, John Mashurik, Ava Lavasco, Leslie Scott Russell, Liberty Liss, Pam Ames, Cecilia Harden, Mary Kramer, and dozens more than I could list here. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and may your days be merry and bright with a Happy New Year.
Hello, I'm George. Thank you for watching the Wake Up America show with my dad. Today, I'd like to share with you 3 reasons why you should visit Dad's online store at apforlibertyshop.com. Number 1, you can get exclusive freedom-loving merch designed by AP himself or me mum, Steffi. Liberty Laura has made some designs as well, and blimey, they are great. Number 2, most of these products are so wicked that they aren't even allowed to be advertised on Facebook or Instagram. Modern machine guns and a proper keychain. Plus, our Grover Cleveland t-shirt is so spicy apparently that leftists on Facebook specifically banned it from appearing on the website. Number 3, you're supporting liberty lovers just like you. Spend your money where you earn it, and you help me Pops build a community that supports what you believe. Bloody hell, this commercial is running too long. Gotta run. Bye now. Don't forget to visit apforlibertyshop.com. That's apforlibertyshop.com.
Good morning. It's 7:35. Happy Monday. Merry Christmas. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. Glad to have you here. Looks like we got some trolls in the chat. I just have to say, that's fine. We love it. The more you participate over here, even when you got jokes, it's fine. Lion's Tooth this morning says, I slept with Austin's wife. How dare you, sir? I haven't even slept with my wife. Joining me now this morning to discuss the news of Donald Trump and his NFTs and his denouncing of Nick Fuentes is John Milton.
Want an engaging website to boost
Of the Foundation for Economic Education, and he's joining us now. Good morning, John. How are you doing, sir?
Hey, good morning, Austin. Doing great. How about you?
All right. Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah to you, John.
And to you as well.
Good, good. Well, glad to have you here. I sent you this article yesterday. Before we talk about Donald Trump denouncing Nick Fuentes, what was your take on Donald Trump's NFTs? Is he maybe a crypto libertarian?
Oh, I found, to be honest, like, he's hawking these $99 trading cards. And it was funny because there was like this big announcement coming, and everybody's on Twitter talking, what's it going to be? And people are like, oh, he's coming back to Twitter, like that's going to be it. And I kind of had my doubts because he has Truth Social. I think he has investors there and stuff. He can't do that. And then it's these trading cards, and people are like, well, he made $5 million, and okay, good. It's just kind of sad to me to see a former president of the United States, hawking trading cards. It's kind of beneath the office, and but maybe Trump's hurting for cash. I don't know.
Well, even the people who support him, his biggest supporters were kind of criticizing him for this. Steve Bannons of the world and others were kind of like, this is more like something that Diamond and Silk would do than Donald Trump. And I gotta say, whoever was creating the NFTs, it was very boomerish, but maybe you can't argue with success. I don't know if I could convince people to buy $99 NFTs.
Nor me. No, I thought the artwork was funny. I looked at some, I'm like, okay, some of these are good. I don't want to bash the artist who did it. Although somebody else pointed out, like Trump, somebody's like, Trump's even a grifter. Like they stole all these images from Shutterstock or from other, public sources that they shouldn't have. So I don't know. Like I just think it's kind of it tells a lot about the age we're in, man. It's just a weird time. The former presidents out there, hawking these cards and things. I wasn't even a fan of presidents going on speaking tours and getting paid $500,000 for that. I'm like, you know what? I'm old school this way. After you're president, you know what? You served your time. Do what George Washington did. Go back to your farm, live a quiet life, get away from the politics. He set the example. We've forgotten it.
If you're just tuning into the Wake Up America show with Austin Peterson, I'm speaking to John Miltimore. He's the managing editor for the Foundation for Economic Education. So Donald Trump comes out and says that you're not America first if you're anti-Semitic. He denounces Nick Fuentes. I mean, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I always looked at Trump. He always got this kind of right, I thought, whether it was anti-Semitism or race. I know people worked as hard as they could to paint him as a racist for a very, very long time. I think, you'd have a hard time going over Trump's speeches and all the talks he's given and finding, like racism and anti-Semitism in there. I think if you look, he's really hurt. He doesn't pull better with the Jewish people. It really bothers him because he sees all of this in a very linear way. Like, well, I've done this for Israel. Why don't Jewish people support me more? So I'm not surprised that he denounced Fuentes. I think it was kind of like a big mistake. He was, seen with him at all, because when you're president, everything gets amplified, right? So no big surprises. I read some of the interview he did with Breitbart. It was kind of a lot of softballs in there. To me, it's evidence that Trump really is going to run. Like, that's why he's doing this. Obviously, if you're running for president, you can't be seen with guys like Fuentes, and it was a big mistake. He's quite serious about it. I'm not excited. Like I was saying, I think Trump go right off in the sunset and, like find your farm somewhere and live a quiet life. There's just more pain for him coming back. And I think there's gonna be more pain for Americans. But it looks like we're in for another cycle of this.
It's kind of interesting, though, when you know the historic parallels of America First and its history in the United States, specifically the interwar years, John, between 1919 after World War I and until 1941 in the United States. America First in the United States was kind of explicitly anti-Semitic, wasn't it?
I never closely. I know that if you go back in American history, there's a lot of nativism, right? Like, you can go back to the 19th century. You had the whole party that sprang out of it was really an anti-immigrant party, the Know Nothings. It appeared all over throughout American history. I think America has traditionally, it has been a very welcoming place. So for people, that's part of us. E pluribus unum, right? We have people from every background that live here. That's part of the American creed that says, no, people that come here and work, we're all gonna be able to live together as long as we get the little these one things right. Liberty, equality before law in these things. So I wasn't surprised at all by Trump's saying, hey, America first needs to be an inclusive place. If you look, the GOP has increasingly become an inclusive place. If you look at the elections, the midterms here recently, they really looked like a party of Latinos, of Asian people, of Black people. We're seeing more and more candidates. I don't see race going away because it's so divisive, right? And it's become kind of weaponized. But I think it's a no-brainer. We don't want anti-Semites in a movement or a party. For one, I mean, even the moral part aside, if you have that, you're going nowhere as a party, right? Like, or as a movement, because there's no greater sin in American politics today than to not be inclusive.
If you're just tuning into the Wake Up America show with Austin Peterson, you can send us a text on the program if you'd like to have it read on air at 573-319-1586. You can also send a super chat over on YouTube. We'd love to have you over there. So in regards to my comments about, the America First movement being explicitly anti-Semitic, I mean, we're talking about Henry Ford here, right? Who published a book called The International Jew, where, it's become sort of popular online, John. You probably see this quite frequently to make anti-Semitic remarks, whether done ironically or unironically. And I think that the former president, Donald Trump, is sort of responding to that because a lot of his Jewish supporters have come out and said, hey, listen, you need to do this. Some people see it as virtue signaling. Some people don't see any value behind it, but I think I do see value behind it. And having these kinds of conversations and, what Kanye West and Nick Fuentes and others have done because of, how, famous Kanye West is, or Ye, if you will, and, has sitting down and having dinner with President Trump in such a way makes it news, means, it may be a Pandora's box, but maybe it's time for us to start having a more open conversation about the role of the Jewish people in American history and, the ups and downs. Why are there so many Jews in Hollywood and media and the arts? The answers to those kinds of questions, though, John, may not be the kinds of answers that the anti-Semites really want to hear, though.
No, it's a good point. Like it goes back to something Eric Holder said a number of years ago. Oh, it's time to have an honest discussion about race. But whenever people want to have an honest discussion, it becomes like a food fight. It becomes a mess. I do think, just having more honest conversations, more candid conversations on race is healthy. Sadly, we're not in a place where we can really do that, right? Like I just think all of this today, you fall into microaggressions. Then suddenly, like somebody's just having a conversation, like, well, you can't say that, or you can't imply that, and I think race is we treat it too delicately and we're too sensitive to it. I understand why there is sensitivity to some of these things, but we need to find a better way to communicate and talk about these things.
Right. I agree with you, and my wife, obviously she's Jewish, and so we've been having these conversations, quite frequently over the past several weeks. And I mean, it's fascinating to me, her takes on these because, I was raised as an evangelical Christian. And so what's funny is that because of the emphasis that Christians place on the Bible and on studying the Bible, like a lot of times we Christians will know more about Jewish history and the Jewish religion than Jews themselves will know about it. Even, Catholics, for example, don't place the kind of emphasis on the Bible that evangelicals do. And obviously I'm not a member of the church anymore, but I mean, now that I have a Jewish wife and I'm secular, I'm really enjoying this conversation, this tumult, because I don't really, I guess you might say I have a dog in the fight, but my wife is about as secular as I am in a way. So, I mean, when we have a conversation about why are there so many Jews in Hollywood and the banks, when we look at the history, her and I have been studying the history of Judaism and in relation to Hollywood and the music industry. Well, what people like Kanye West might not like to hear is that the reason why there's so many Jews in Hollywood is because back in the day during vaudeville in the 1920s and the early aughts in the previous century, John, there weren't a lot of industries that Jews could go and work in where they weren't treated with discrimination or or suppressed in their ability to move up in certain professions. right? They received a lot of the same treatment that Irish received, or that Catholics received, or that um, blacks received in the United States. So there was a profession that most people considered so distasteful that good conservatives wouldn't participate in. And that was getting up, putting your daughter up on stage and dancing and showing their legs and being a flapper, or, it was considered to be something, I guess bawdy, or what's the word I'm really looking for here? To participate in movies, talking pictures, and jazz music. I mean, this was not considered a part of polite society. So the Jews were like, well, we can't be a part of polite society, so we're going to go make movies in Hollywood. So there should, I guess, should be no surprise that they're sort of overrepresented in that industry, because that was one of the only industries they were allowed to be in. Now, though, now that it's considered a respectable industry, all of a sudden, a lot of people are like, well, we want to be a part of this industry. How come you're keeping us out? I mean, it sort of makes sense when you look at it in that historical context, doesn't it?
Oh, I think it does. There is a lot of great history there. Paul Johnson has written a great. He's one of my favorite historians. Has written a great book, The History of the Jewish People. And I think you're right. I think if you look, I shouldn't say this because again, we're talking about race, and you get uncomfortable. I've just always been the Jewish people have done extraordinary things throughout history, and I'm not somebody that can look at history and deny that. I don't know if it's culture. I don't know if it's something with genetic. Again, all these things it's really dangerous to talk about. But if you go look at Nobel Prize winners in the 20th century, the number of Jewish people who've won Nobel Prizes, it's insane. Like they've just done, I was reading last night about the 26-year-old patent clerk, in Bern who Einstein, right? His theory of relativity. He was a nobody. He did this extraordinary thing. And again, he was a non-practicing Jew, but he believed deeply in God. I've always found it remarkable that, so maybe there is some history there, but I think, I just see when I see Jewish people doing amazing things, it doesn't really surprise me. I haven't dug into the history as much as you. It's interesting that your wife is Jewish. I didn't know that. You guys can go on kind of like a learning tour, right? You can, learn all this history together.
Well, yeah, and it's again, it's fascinating because I know so much about the Bible, so I will sometimes I'll be explaining to her like the Exodus story, or the other day we were watching the Ten Commandments, and she didn't know, like, I basically know the story of Moses and the Exodus by heart. So we were talking about how Moses was the son of the Pharaoh, even though he was actually a Jew. And then he, led the Israelites out of Egypt and out of slavery. And we were having these fascinating discussions about, what's historical fact and what's myth and what's legend that comes from the Bible. But, and then of course we tie all this into discussions about what Kanye West is saying about the Jews. And we're talking about, what is Nick Fuentes, what's the historical beef? One fascinating discussion we were having yesterday is like, which branches of Christianity are more hostile to the Jews. So for example, evangelical Christians are widely noted as having a very pro-Israel, pro-Semite view of things. But for example, there was a series of forgeries of books that were allegedly written by Jews in the early 1900s again, but they were actually written by the Jewish, not the Jewish, by the Tsarist secret police of the early 1900s in Russia, and they were called the Protocols of the Elders of Zion, and they were widely you've probably heard of these, right? These book of
I have not.
Oh, you should definitely check this out. So this is a big like Jewish conspiracy theory book called The Protocols of the Elders of Zion. And it is essentially a bunch of texts that were written and compiled by the secret police of Russia during the period of the Tsar. And it was used as a means to sort of for pogroms, right? They needed a justification, a literary justification, to explain to people why they were driving the Jews out of Russia. If you've ever seen Fiddler on the Roof, for example, that might be another, you could see an example of a pogrom in there. And in it, the Protocols of the Elders of Zion is every sort of anti-Semitic conspiracy theory that you will see today. Everything that Nicholas Fuentes is saying, it's because of this Eastern Orthodox religion that is highly anti-Semitic, in contrast to American evangelical conservatism, which is highly pro-Semitic. But these protocols of elders of Zion were these books that were supposedly written by Jews. They were actually written by governments, by secret police, in order to justify their anti-Semitic behavior and pushing them out of Russia, because they were Eastern Orthodox. They were, very, anti-Semitic because, of the conspiracy theories that they believed about the Jews and of Christ. So fascinating stuff. But Adolf Hitler used these protocols in order to justify the Holocaust. Henry Ford in the United States, a renowned anti-Semite, used the protocols of the elders of Zion and said, "See, look, they're trying to take over the world. The Jews are trying to take over the world." So Adolf Hitler's like, "So we have to take over the world first, so we can stop them from taking over the world." It was kind of like it really does show how the conspiracy theory mindset can lead to madness. It can even lead to murder, in my mind.
Yeah, and it's a little frightening today because I think we're living in an age of conspiracy theories. And I don't say that pejoratively because I understand like some of the things, we all know the meme, like yesterday's, conspiracy theory is today's news. There's some of these things that, we just use it. It's interesting. I have an article started on this front, how when the phrase conspiracy theory started, it was concocted by the feds during the JFK assassination. It was plugged into the news outlets to kind of say, well, this isn't true, and you're kind of a quack if you believe all that. Like you, I grew up in an evangelical home, so I kind of looked at anti-Semitism as like, this isn't real, like I'd never witnessed it, and but then you find out later on, like, oh yeah, like a friend of mine sent me a book on Hitler, and I'm reading it now, and you realize everything you're saying, like, oh, this was a deep-seated obsession he had with Jews, and you look at how what he did with that, how he used it, and he wasn't just using it for political purposes. Hitler really believed these things, so it is dangerous stuff. I think we need to do a better day today of kind of separating fact from fiction and the clear conspiracy theories. But it's getting harder. It's getting harder to do that, and I think it is because of some of the things. I don't want to go back to it's government. But if you look at the games the FBI is playing right now, some of the really, it looks like really thought control stuff, right? Like they're manipulating information and controlling information in ways that's deeply troubling. I think that has a lot to do with it. But yeah, don't buy into the crazy conspiracy theories, folks.
Don't buy into the crazy conspiracy theories. Buy into the legitimate conspiracy
Yes.
theories. Well, I was reading an article because I'm fascinated by conspiracy theories, John, and I think most of them are pretty easily debunked. But the thing about conspiracy theories is that, as I was reading the other day, is the reason why people are more prone to believe conspiracy theories in large part of the United States is because we are, a nation of believers. We are a nation who are more than willing to believe. And I think it sort of leads into the success mindset of Americans. One of the reasons why Americans are so successful is because we are willing to believe. We don't, when somebody tells us you can't do that, we don't see why we can't. We are believers. And the KGB actually studied this when they were studying American culture to try and undermine the United States. I talked about this last week when we were talking about the JFK conspiracy stuff. But that one of the things about American society that the KGB found out, or that they sort of determined, is that America is a nation of believers. It's why we're more religious. It's why we're more prone to conspiracy theories. It's why we're more successful in our entrepreneurial spirit, and we're in our mindset, and that we're willing to sort of say, "Hey, listen, we nobody can tell us it can't be done. We're gonna go out there and we're gonna, make huge skyscrapers, and we're gonna create an atomic bomb." But I mean, like, there's negatives to that too, right? When you always believe something, you're also more prone to, being peddled snake oil. And boy, Americans, John, they love them some snake oil, don't they?
They do, yeah. I mean, we use that phrase American dream, right? It's part of our culture. And if you look, it's what you're talking about being a believer, right? If you dare to dream, you're a believer. And that's kind of what this land's about. We want to go, and we want to, have come here. They come here because they believe they can build a better life here. But you're right, there can be downsides. And then you factor in all this stuff over the last, 60 years that people have seen stuff, like the JFK stuff has been in the news. I've been studying that for years. I've written about it, and every year I'm more convinced that our government was involved in that in ways that will, and we keep delaying these records that are set to be released. We have a whole. It's been how many years now, right? They keep just delaying these records, and I think there's some truth there that
So
they just
don't
say, well,
believe the conspiracy theories, he says a minute ago, and then he says, I think our government was involved with the assassination of John F. Kennedy. John, make up your mind.
No, and I'll say this: involved. You got to choose your words carefully. If involved doesn't mean they pulled the trigger. Involved means that they maybe there's just something embarrassing. Maybe they knew something was going to happen and they were following somebody and they didn't do something. It could be as simple as that. But they're hiding something. I think anybody can look and say that there's information that they refused to allow to be seen, even after an event that took place, more than a half century ago. So there's things there that kind of feeds into the conspiracy mind.
It does. And another thing about like the whole conspiracy mindset as well is that, we have, and because a large part due to the response to COVID-19, the United States, when you don't have experts, when you have a movement of people who doesn't have experts in any particular field or who decries experts, who says, oh, we don't believe experts and we don't listen to experts. And trust me, the experts, quote unquote, have certainly lost a good chunk of their reputation for good reason during the COVID-19 pandemic. But when you don't have experts, you replace that with conspiracy theory, which is what we have right now. John Miltimore, managing editor of the Foundation for Economic Education. Anything else that you think people should know before we let you go?
No, I did just write a piece on Ron Paul and the FBI. If you look, it's on my Substack, The Take. John Miltimore, and Ron Paul was warning us way back during 1988 when he was campaigning for president on some of the things the FBI was doing. We should have paid more attention.
I voted for Ron Paul twice, so I am free of guilt. John Miltimore, thank you for your time today. We appreciate you very much.
Hey, AP, you have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday.
Merry Christmas to you, Happy Hanukkah to all my Jewish friends who are tuning in right now. Coming up next, we've got Hal Dooley in the house. Let's hear what he has to say about these conspiracy theories. We'll talk to him about all that and more when we get back on the Wake Up America Show at thewakeupamericashow.com.
Were you exposed to hazardous materials while serving in the military and have an illness or condition as a result?
If so, you may be eligible for VA benefits and services.
Whether you need health care or want to file a disability compensation claim related to military exposures, VA is here to help.
Visit va.gov/military-exposures to learn more and apply today.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
I think that the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian and always has been.
Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything.
What is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation.
Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth.
This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
The conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government, get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
If I had to pick up the phone, call 911 for one of my family members or one of my neighbors, what would I do if no one was on the other end to respond? What if there was no 911? So you can be a part of the solution.
Anybody can be a firefighter. Male, female, younger, older.
We have school teachers. We have leaders in business.
Is me, you, anyone that wants to be.
There is no typical firefighter.
We wish you a freedom Christmas. We wish you a freedom Christmas. We wish you a freedom Christmas and a liberty New Year. Socialists and commies may try to convince you that the holiday's all about free stuff. But let's be honest, we all know whose wallet Santa's gifts are coming out of. There ain't no such thing as a free stocking. Santa is the only guy with a big white beard promising free stuff that we want anything to do with this holiday. And if you don't believe, you don't receive. It's a capitalist, consumerist holiday, and it's time for a Santa-sized stimulus. Get your free market merch at the AP for Liberty shop today and stuff your socialist sisters' stockings full of capitalist cheer. Ho, 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 ho!
Good morning. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. Glad to have you here. You can send us a text today at 573-319-1586. That's 573-319-1586. Joining me now in studio, the great Hal Dooley. How are we doing, Hal? Nice
Good morning, Austin. Good to be here.
Glad to have you here, Hal.
It's nice to be here.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you too. Happy Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah as
and
well.
everything else that goes along with that.
We've been talking this morning a little bit about conspiracy theories. We've been talking about anti-Semitism. And the news is that Donald Trump denounced this kid, Nick Fuentes character, who is not the biggest fan of the Jews, and had that dinner, sat down with him. It was kind of big news a few weeks ago, but it came up recently or yesterday because Trump finally came out and denounced him, denounced anti-Semitism and all that stuff. So, Hanukkah is the festival of lights. So maybe a good conversation piece.
It may be a good conversation piece. You know what? And I know of that is, was he set up? Did Kanye West set him up?
That's a great question, actually.
That was it a conspiracy there?
Well, now there you go, Hal. Now we're having fun. We're talking about conspiracy. Now, Hal, where were you on November something 1963 when John Kennedy was shot?
I was just right down the hill here.
Yeah.
Corner Monroe and McCarty, working for Harvey Hager Standard Service Station. And we got the word there, that Kennedy had been shot.
And what was it like? How did you feel?
It's shock. I mean, it's not something that's supposed to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Any assassination for a major figure like that it should be a shock to you. I mean, that's the leader of the free world, and everything that goes along with it, because everybody's impacted one way or another when a president or a key figure is assassinated. And it was a shocker. I mean, everybody was concerned. It was on television. Of course, television was getting going real good then. So there's a lot of people watching a lot of stuff with regard to that. And also the commentary with regard to the succession plan and what was going to happen there. So it was the big thing for a long time.
Hal, did you buy into any of the conspiracy theories that arose the years after that? I mean, here's the thing: Oswald was a Marine. You were a Marine. You know, you still are a Marine. Once a Marine, always a Marine.
Yeah, former Marine.
Former Marine, yes. But you know, people said, "Oh, he couldn't have made that shot," and I'm like, "Well, you know, even any Missouri deer hunter could do that, but especially a trained Marine could make those shots." Did you think that there was any like CIA involvement or anything like that? Because that's what everybody believes these days anymore. I think more people think that there was a conspiracy to kill him, and that the U.S. government was involved than people who do not.
I think there was a conspiracy to kill him. Now, whether Oswald did it single-handedly or not, that's subject to conspiracy debate. You know, my take on it now is I'm not going to know any more, any less. I'm not going to change my lifestyle or my thinking, whether other facts come out or not. Now, I heard you talking about it a few minutes ago. You know, my concern is today. What's relative today on conspiracy? The New World Order, George Soros. Who's controlling Biden? What is the Marxist communism plan? And, you know, you were talking about that. It's what's going on in our schools. If these kids would bother to read the Communist Manifesto and some of the other socialist documents, it's the playbook. It's the
How
actual
dare
playbook
you!
of what they do. You know, and why they feel that we need to have a socialist change. The old people say, "Here we go again. It doesn't work, and it's going to be a hardship." And the young people, I just can't believe the animosity and the intensity that we need to change our government. The capitalism is bad. That the government's corrupt, and the government is not corrupt. It's got different ideals than we do. You know, we've talked about that before.
Wait a minute. Did you just say that the government is not corrupt?
Well, no, I'm
How
not using
dare
the word
you!
corrupt. I'm not using the word corrupt.
What do you mean here?
I think the government's self-serving.
Do you like my sound effects, Hal?
Yeah, I do. You know, I've been in this medium for many years, and I don't have any sound effects other than the ones that I make. So, no, you may have too many sound effects, Austin.
If you're just tuning in to the Wake Up America show with Austin Peterson, I'm speaking to Hal Dooley. Hal was the former head of the Missouri Veterans Commission here, so he's also a U.S. Marine himself. And he was a frequent guest on my previous radio show. He's joining us now. If you have a text message, you can text it in at 573-319-1586. You can also send us a super chat over on the live stream, and we'd love to hear from you on that one. One of the other things that we've been discussing this morning is the whole, anti-Semitic conspiracy theories as well. We've been talking about maybe have you ever heard of this? The Protocols of the Elder of Zion.
I've heard of them, but I'm not intimately familiar.
So these are the books, the series, or it's a book, I guess, that's been compiled that like Hitler used to justify the Holocaust. It's that the Jews are taking over the world, and that there's the Jews are the ones who run Hollywood in the United States, et cetera, et cetera. And it's kind of like I've been discussing a little bit about the history of anti-Semitism. You know, there's more than just Hitler and the Holocaust, but this Protocols of Elder Zion was created by the Russian secret police as a way to justify the pogroms to drive the Jews out of Russia in the early 1900s, because the Eastern Orthodox Church was, highly anti-Semitic. Now, you are Catholic,
yes,
correct? So Catholics don't have the same kind of relationship with the Jews that evangelicals do.
Now that I don't know. I know the Catholics have a relationship with the Jews relative to the Bible.
Right. But so I was raised as a Southern Baptist, right, which is about as fundamentalist as you can get. There may be more fundamentalist ones, but it's probably the most mainstream fundamentalist you can get in the United States. And it was very pro-Israel, very pro-Jew. And so that's kind of like, that was the culture that I was raised in. But not all branches of Christian conservatism are pro-Israel or pro-Semite, if you will. In fact, there are a lot of branches of Christianity that are highly anti-Semitic. Am I wrong?
Probably. I mean, there's biases all over. I mean, I look at it this way. What does the Jewish community do for me, against me? How does it impact me? Or is it just a political thing and I join the crowd to be on one side or the other? Now, the Bible tells me that the Jews prosecuted, persecuted, and everything else back in Jesus' day. And that continues today. And I don't know if that's a burden they have to carry or not. I like some people and I don't like some people, not because of their faith, not because of their race. It's just how they treat me and I treat them that way. And that's the way I was raised. But the anti-Semitism is to me, it's a tool. It's just like saying Marxists or blacks or white supremacy and all that kind of stuff. I think they're just tools that are used today to foster a result for the powers to be. And it baffles me. And why do you want to be anti-Semitic if it doesn't impact you other than, well, take
see,
them off the board?
Well, see, like people like Kanye, for example,
Yeah.
he said it does impact him. So for him, the reason, he comes out and he says that the Jews and, they're the ones who are the pioneers of cancel culture. And then you'll have all these Jewish groups like ADL and others that are, out there saying that he should be canceled, that his music should be removed, that they kind of create this sort of self-fulfilling prophecy, right? In a sense, right? And so it's like, in some ways, when you look at people as a member of a group and you classify people as a member of a group, you kind of have descending into absurdities, and the absurdities build one on top of another. But the mistake in my mind is not having the mindset that you expressed, which is an individualist mindset. You don't judge someone based on the culture that they're a part of. You judge someone based on an individual basis. But the problem, of course, with that, Hal, is that once you're a member of a tribe or you're a member of a group, you're a Catholic, right? Once you're a member of a tribe, you start to build on those kinds of collectivist mindsets, and so that's how the absurdities begin. Am I wrong?
No, I agree with you. But I'm sitting here thinking, well, what's the end game? What is the end game? That's what I don't understand. So sometimes you have to dig into deep to find out how does it impact culture. Cancel culture is
if you're just tuning into the Wake Up America show with Austin Peterson, you can send us a text at 573-319-1586. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Hal Dooley's a beautiful smoking hot.
Part of the real life, Austin. Part of the real life.
That's right.
It's called car keys and misplaced, and I can't get to where I want to go without the car keys to get into the car. That's real life conspiracy, and probably a conspiracy. I did that to upset her today.
It's a conspiracy of redheads.
Yes, it is. I don't like redheads, so that's why I'm making it difficult for her this morning.
You can text the show at 573-319-1586. That's 573-319-1586. Someone texted in and said, please talk about the New York Times crossword. I have no idea what you're talking about there. Tribalism, though, back to what we were at there. So you want to be a part of a tribe, right? You want to be a part of a religion, right? You picked your religion, right? I picked a non-religion, but I mean, people sort of naturally put themselves into these groups, Hal. And I mean, once you do that, you can't really have, I mean, and this is me kind of pushing back on you, you can't really have that non-collectivist mindset, that individualist mindset, because once you've sort of identified with the group, I can sort of say all Catholics have this belief, right? Transubstantiation, right? So I can speak collectively about you once you're a part of a collective, can't I?
Yeah, depends on what you want to speak at, and that depends on whether it's a bias, whether it's hate, whether it's love. But what's the end game, though? I mean, that's always been going on. I mean, it's like radio.
Well, it's like, yeah.
And there are people that like you and they don't like you, but
Sure.
you're the same person.
But like, there's anti-Semitism, and that's a problem, and we've called it out. But I mean, it's like, white supremacy is a problem, but Jewish supremacy is a problem too.
Right.
Right. And it's kind of like the more you create these kinds of tribal groups, it's like the more highly orthodox someone becomes, I find, in their group, the more sort of a spiky attitude they have towards outsiders, right? So the more orthodox a Catholic you tend to be, right, the more demeaning towards outsiders of your group you tend to be. The more orthodox a fundamentalist Christian you are, the more defeated. I mean, you would not believe some of the things that many of my Protestant evangelical friends said about the Catholics when I was growing up, calling them idol worshipers, making fun of, the worship of Mary, pretending that she's a god and all these kinds of things, right? So it's like the more orthodox you become as a member of one of these tribes, Jewish fundamentalists, the same thing. The more sort of like, the less that individualist attitude that you have seems to function in those kinds of hyper tribal groups.
Well, I'm listening to you, and listening to your perspective, and I'm thinking about my perspective, which goes back a lot further than yours. And I'm thinking after World War II and the redevelopment of the United States and the melting pot mentality and Ellis Island and people being welcomed in, even in those days, they were vetted, to try to separate the good guys from the bad guys. But at the same time, the problems we have today are generated, I think, by a small group of people who want separation. They want individual. They want us to become more vocal and more conscious. For a long time, I grew up most of my life not thinking one way or another about a lot of these issues and just leading my life, trying to be productive. And today it just seems like there's a lot of these issues like anti-Semitism that what's the end game? It doesn't affect me. I mean, it does affect me with regard to, like you said, the tribal type stuff, but I don't take up the crusade for or against it. And I think that's the way most people should be. And I like the melting pot mentality.
But that's a liberal attitude. So that's really a key here, because what we're talking about here in essence is a conservative versus a liberal approach. Because what you just expressed by saying that you like that melting pot mentality, that is a liberal attitude. That's not a conservative attitude.
If you put it in that political social box.
Well, conservatism is not necessarily a political view. It can also be, it's also a lifestyle choice.
Right.
Right. So, I mean, if you express the idea that the United States is a melting pot and that it's multicultural, that's a liberal view. Right. That is a
liberal view, but I don't think it's a liberal view in the context of what most people look at it.
Not in the context of politics.
Because I consider myself a conservative.
I get that. Let's continue this conversation.
We will.
When we get back, more with Hal Dooley. We'll continue to have this talk. And the job market's still not so hot out there. Why are so many young white men quitting their jobs? We got to have this discussion. We'll talk about that when we get back on the Wake Up America Show at wakeupamericashow.com.
Want an engaging website to boost your business? You're just a click away from 5-star Fiverr talent. Hundreds of freelancer skills like web design. Head to Fiverr.com today and get something started.
American conservatism is distinct, like America is distinct from the United Kingdom. American conservatism's roots comes out of the Wild West, out of pioneerism. The difference between American conservatives and European conservatives is that Americans are cowboys. We are that God, guns, gold, and girls. It's wild here. And we should stay that way. We shouldn't allow a European version of conservatism to come and infect us here. We like it wide open spaces here, deep in the heart of Texas and all that.
Austin's wife. I want to thank you all for watching the Wake Up America Show with Austin Peterson. This show has been a huge venture for our family, so we would love it if you could join us. I believe in liberty, and I believe in Austin's ability to spread the ideas of liberty. Do you? I want to ask you today to join Peterson's Patriots with a pledge of $17.76 a month. Help us to stay cancel-proof so we can spread the message of limited government across the country. I joined Peterson's Patriots myself, just in a little different way. Visit wakeupamericashow.com/support and make your pledge today.
Hey, it's Austin. Thanks for watching and listening to the Wake Up America show. 2022 has been an exciting year for the Peterson household. Steffi and I celebrated our first anniversary, and my new radio program, The Austin Peterson Show, was syndicated in St. Louis just over a month ago. There have been some challenging times, but with the help and support of good friends like you, we've been able to come out even stronger at the end of this year than when we started. I wanted to take a moment to say thank you to the Cantina crew, especially Camelia Peterson, Tolly Owens, Jamie Marie Pope, Chris Morrill, Matt Unruh, Quest Fanning, Elizabeth Fanning Press, Tina Martin Goodrick, John Rail, Jasper Logan, Kathy Jo Loy, Edie Vogel, Grant Sundberg, Anna DePalm, Doug Hill, Andy Opperman, Lyle and Lori Rosberg, John Peterson, John Mashurik, Ava Lavasco, Leslie Scott Russell, Liberty Liss, Pam Ames, Cecilia Harden, Mary Kramer, and dozens more than I could list here. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and may your days be merry and bright with a Happy New Year.
Hello, I'm George. Thank you for watching the Wake Up America show with my dad. Today, I'd like to share with you 3 reasons why you should visit Dad's online store at apforlibertyshop.com. Number 1, you can get exclusive freedom-loving merch designed by AP himself or me mum, Steffi. Liberty Laura has made some designs as well, and blimey, they are great. Number 2, most of these products are so wicked that they aren't even allowed to be advertised on Facebook or Instagram. Modern machine guns and a proper keychain. Plus, our Grover Cleveland t-shirt is so spicy apparently that leftists on Facebook specifically banned it from appearing on the website. Number 3, you're supporting liberty lovers just like you. Spend your money where you earn it, and you help me pups build a community that supports what you believe. Bloody hell, this commercial is running too long. Gotta run. Bye now. Don't forget to visit apforlibertyshop.com. That's apforlibertyshop.com.
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. It's Monday. Sorry about that, but it's Christmas week and Hanukkah week. So happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, happy holidays, happy Kwanzaa. Thanks so much for joining us. In studio is my good buddy, Hal Dooley. Hi, Hal.
Good morning, Austin.
Good morning. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good to be here. I'm going to go shopping in a little while.
So,
thinking the stores are open with people in them?
Probably. Stephanie and I were so glad that we had gotten all of our Christmas shopping out of the way before this weekend, because I bet yesterday and the day before it was a nightmare trying to get out anywhere. Actually, funny that you bring up the whole going shopping thing. Heading off to Sam's Club, says Stephanie in the chat. Anyone need anything? Anybody need anything from Sam's Club? She's making a run. Hal, you all set?
If they have the good scotch, I'm always interested in the good scotch, Stephanie.
Yes. We should say this. Mary Kramer brought this up, by the way, Hal, in the chat. She says, do you recall a sweet lady, Shirley, that called into the talk shows? She passed last week. She had the cutest voice. Hal would know that. Yeah, our friend Shirley passed away.
Yeah, she did.
That's
very unfortunate, very unexpected.
Yeah, Shirley was a lady who called into the show and was always so sweet and kind and supportive. She had like the sweetest voice. What was her last name, Hal?
Shirley Vanderfelt.
Shanna Vanderfelts. Yeah, she was, Vanderfelts. There's a lot of famous name here in mid-Missouri. Caleb Vanderfelts and Shirley Vanderfelts, and everybody's related.
She was originally a Stokes. And it's a sister to my mother-in-law.
And the Dooleys and the Vogels and the Dooleys, the Vogels, and the Vanderfeltses of mid-Missouri.
Edie and Hal.
Edie and Hal. You guys, for those who don't know, by the way, Edie and Hal are cousins.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, they're actually related, so.
I love it. I love it.
You can text the show today at 573-319-1586. You can, of course, send a super chat as well over at the youtube.com/AP for Liberty page. Make sure that you like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification icon so that you can get notifications whenever we go live. This week, just an FYI, we will have a best of show on Thursday, and then I will be taking the day off Friday to spend some time with family. All right, Hal. So scotch. Steffi says she's going to get you some scotch, so you're all set. Caleb Vanderfelt says, my great aunt Shirley, great lady. Yeah, truly a great loss, Caleb. She was a wonderful lady, and we appreciated her contributions to the radio.
And her son, one of her, Gary Vanderfelt, is on the radio quite a bit, and works for a car repair business.
That's the paint business,
Yeah,
right?
the paint business.
The paint business here in Jefferson City. You can text the show today at 573-319-1586. We were going to discuss the job market.
The job market.
So this is, you're going to laugh at this. So Hal, so apparently the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston did a study on this and found that young, specifically white males, are dropping out of their jobs or quitting their jobs in large part because they claim that there is a loss of status associated with dead end jobs. And I know it's better for them to not have a job than it is to have a job that's a dead end job with low wages. And I mean, with inflation picking up and people losing value in the jobs that they have, their wages aren't increasing. How you could kind of understand why, but I mean, a lot of these young white men are saying to themselves that they say that they think it hurts their marriageability when you're in a dead end job. You're making this face, but I mean, it's true. If you've got a crappy low end job, there's nothing worse in the dating market than to have an uninteresting job.
Then get out of it.
Well,
Go
that's what
back
they're
to
doing.
school and get a better job.
Well, I mean, going back to school, I don't know if that's the best idea, but getting a better job is definitely a good idea. But we're in a crisis right now. It's hard to hire, Hal.
I know. Now, who's perpetuating this? Now, let's talk about the conspiracy side of this.
Let's hear it.
Who's perpetuating this? Because you need to have workers to produce product.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't have a GMP, then we're out of luck.
Mm-hmm.
Because then there's nothing. Because I've got to move the dollar, basic economics 101.
Mm-hmm.
There's no economy unless I move value to you and you give me value in return. But if that transaction doesn't occur, there's no economy. So if workers aren't there, then you can't foster a business. You and I could have the best ideas in the world to sell product, but if we don't have the help to move that product, then we won't be able to do it. And then there's no economy. And if there's no economy, there's no product.
Somebody sent us in a text over on Twitter. David Lee this morning showed me the New York Times crossword puzzle on the first day of Hanukkah. And it appears to be a faint outline in the New York Times crossword puzzle of a swastika. No, not kidding. It does look exactly like a swastika. I'm not going to make an excuse for that because it's the New York Times, and so we should automatically ascribe to them the worst of motives. Absolutely. However, because I like to think outside the box, and I'm going to introduce this concept. There was a situation that occurred before the invasion of Normandy, Hal, where there was a crossword puzzle in I don't know if it was Britain or France or what have you, that in the crossword puzzle, like 5 of the names of the beaches that were going to be used in the invasion of Normandy, Pluto, what were the beaches? Gold, Sword, Juno. Can you remember the other names of the beaches in Normandy?
Yeah.
So in the crossword puzzle appeared like the 5 names of the beaches that were going to be invaded by the Allies before Normandy happened. The Allies caught wind and they went and they arrested the guy who made the crossword puzzle because they assumed that he was trying to let the Germans know where the invasion was coming and where it was going to happen. But it turned out that it was just a coincidence.
Well, isn't this just a coincidence? And is anybody trying to mask it?
Probably, but since it's the New York Times, shouldn't we just say that they're a bunch of racist anti-Semites? Because they would never give
say that.
They would
It's just
never
an
give us
observation and move
they would
on.
never give us the benefit of the doubt, Hal. If that crossword puzzle appeared in a Donald Trump newspaper with the swastika on it, they would immediately say that it was a veiled threat against the Jews.
And is that the current conservative effort? Fight fire with fire, do as they do.
Maybe.
Well, and that's what I'm catching from conservative news right now.
Yes.
We've got to do everything that they're doing, and they're more aggressive. And I think they're right. I think they're right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're more organized. The liberals are a lot more organized than the conservatives are.
Mm.
Don't you think? I mean,
yes.
When Trump talks about the swamp, he's not talking about all the Democrats. He's talking about all the politicians. And that's coming to the forefront right now with regard to getting ready for the next presidential cycle.
Yes.
With regard to who in the Senate are good guys and bad guys.
I found it. The crossword panic of 1944.
Okay.
During World War II, the daily newspapers were at their most popular. One of the popular dailies was the Daily Telegraph, and so too was the crossword puzzle. Planning for the invasion started. So they noticed the answer to the clue. One of the USA turned about Utah. Another clue in the puzzle was Omaha. These were the names given by the Allies to the beaches in Normandy where they were to land. Another answer that appeared in that month's crossword was Mulberry. That was the name of those floating harbors that was to be towed across the channel to accommodate the supply ships. Neptune was another answer referred to the code name for the naval support of the operation. And the most suspicious clue in a crossword was a clue about Bigwig, to which the answer was Overlord, which was the code name given for the entire operation. So MI5 at the time started freaking out because they thought that the crossword was being used to tip off the Germans. They sent out officers to arrest the guy who compiled it all. It was all just a mistake. He had no idea. It just so happened that the words Mulberry, Neptune. Coincidences are much more common than people want to believe.
That is true. But talking about jobs again, there's a little guy that sits in a corner somewhere, looking at paper after paper after paper, trying to detect conspiracies or secret information and stuff. Now that's a dead end. But somebody's got to be doing that.
Well, the problem with like trying to debunk like certain conspiracy theories or trying to debunk things, it's like trying to prove the existence of God. Right. It's like it's like trying to disprove something that didn't happen. So if you didn't kill someone and you are accused of killing someone, they say, prove you didn't kill someone. How do you prove something that never happened?
I know, you can't.
You can't.
You can't.
You can't prove it. But the problem is that most people's mindsets, and this is what feeds into the conspiracy theories, is that somebody says George Bush did 9/11, and then they say, prove he didn't do 9/11. Well, how do you prove that he didn't do something that he didn't do? Right. So it's like that's the unfortunate thing. The scientific method, the mindset of the scientific method is to say, here's the evidence. Now I have to go out and disprove a theory. But that's not how most people like to think. Most people are like, here's the theory. Let me go out and find evidence that proves my theory rather than disprove a theory based on the evidence that's received. That's why we're in trouble, Hal, because most people, the scientific method is boring.
As you speak that, the little light goes on in my mind with the little tag underneath that says insurrection. Number one, what the hell is an insurrection?
Right.
And now they want to foster criminal charges against Trump. Criminal charges for insurrection. I mean, I'm trying to get to. Do we just have the hammer out again, beating him over the head? Because I can say anything I want, knowing that the media is going to support me 100%.
Yeah,
I can lie, beg, borrow, and steal right here on the medium, and get backed up by. I wish I had that kind of influence.
When we get back on the Wake Up American show, the Vatican defrocks a priest, Frank Pavone, an anti-abortion activist and a pro-Trump priest, over his social media posts. We'll ask this good practicing Catholic Hal Dooley about that when we get back on the Wake Up America show at wakeupamericashow.com.
Are you exposed to hazardous materials while serving in the military and have an illness or condition as a result?
If so, you may be eligible for VA benefits and services.
Whether you need health care or want to file a disability compensation claim related to military exposures, VA is here to help.
Visit va.gov/military-exposures to learn more and apply today.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be secondary to me. We're here because we believe in the principles of liberty. I am not a perfect messenger, but I think I'm a damn good one. This is a replica of our first president's flintlock pistol. You have my full support, my respect, and my gun.
I think that the heart of my philosophy is much more libertarianism than well, that's the fashionable word these days, I guess. A conservative is no longer just that. He's a libertarian and always has been.
Yet any time you and I question the schemes of the do-gooders, we're denounced as being against their humanitarian goals. They say we're always against things, we're never for anything.
What is fascism? Fascism is private ownership, private enterprise, but total government control and regulation.
Well, the trouble with our liberal friends is not that they're ignorant. It's just that they know so much that isn't so. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
The conservative, so-called, is the one that says less government, get off my back, get out of my pocket, and let me have more control of my own destiny.
If I had to pick up the phone, call 911 for one of my family members or one of my neighbors, what would I do if no one was on the other end to respond? What if there was no 911? You can be a part of the solution.
Anybody can be a firefighter. Male, female, younger, older.
We have school teachers. We have leaders in business.
Is me, you, anyone that wants to be. There is no typical firefighter.
We wish you a freedom Christmas. We wish you a freedom Christmas. We wish you a freedom Christmas and a liberty New Year. Socialists and commies may try to convince you that the holiday's all about free stuff. But let's be honest, we all know whose wallet Santa's gifts are coming out of. There ain't no such thing as a free stocking. Santa is the only guy with a big white beard promising free stuff that we want anything to do with this holiday. And if you don't believe, you don't receive. It's a capitalist, consumerist holiday, and it's time for a Santa-sized stimulus. Get your free market merch at the AP for Liberty shop today and stuff your socialist sisters' stockings full of capitalist cheer. Ho, 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 ho!
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America Show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. Boy, my guest, Hal Dooley, has got a lot to say about this next topic. Joining us in studio now, Mr. Hal Dooley. Hi, Hal.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks so much for coming in today.
Oh, rocking and rolling on Christmas week.
Glad to have you here. Merry Christmas to you, Hal.
Merry Christmas to you too. And Stephanie, and she's at Sam's as we speak.
She is
spending money and working our economy. Thank you very much.
We appreciate that.
Yes, we do.
We love Steffi. Happy Hanukkah, Steffi. All right, so this is the news story, and Hal, I can see your hackle starting to get raised on this one. The Vatican has defrocked Frank Pavone, an anti-abortion activist and a priest, over social media posts that he made over blasphemous communications on social media. That's what they said. And persistent disobedience of his bishop, according to news reports on Sunday. The Vatican, not his bishop, the Vatican, removed Pavone from the priesthood on November 9th, and there is no chance for him to appeal his dismissal, according to a letter to U.S. bishops from Christophe Pierre, the Vatican ambassador to the United States. Pavone, who is a founder of an anti-abortion group called Priests for Life, frequently posts on social media about politics and abortion. He's a big Donald Trump supporter and a big supporter of the Republican Party's anti-abortion platform. The Vatican said that they provided him ample opportunity to defend himself, but he provided no reasonable justification for his actions. So here's what they say. He was found guilty of, quote, blasphemous communications on social media, and of persistent disobedience of the lawful instructions of his diocesan bishop. So, blasphemy. Next, they don't say exactly what he posted on social media that was blasphemy. I know. And then in 2016, he had faced an investigation while he was in the Diocese of Amarillo, Texas, for allegedly having placed an aborted fetus on an altar and posting a video of it on social media, according to the AP. He successfully appealed to the Vatican after that, but then he left Texas while he was working for Priest of Life. But he is now he says he has not been properly notified of the decision. The Vatican had not explained what he did wrong, and he's tweeting saying that he stands behind his anti-abortion platform. Forced laicization, is that what this is called? Also known as defrocking. It's the removal of a priest.
Yeah, he can't say mass and administer the sacraments. But more importantly, on just being a practicing Catholic that's not a theologian, if he's anti-abortion, isn't that consistent with the teachings of the Catholic faith? Of course it is. Now, what I want to know what's blasphemy about it. That's what I want to know.
Well, yeah, is the blasphemy his support for Donald Trump?
How can that be blasphemy? That had nothing to do with the doctrine. If he does that, then all of us Catholics that have supported it and voted for Trump probably be excommunicated. Now, I imagine that Schumer and Pelosi are dancing in the streets of Washington, D.C. today, seeing this consternation in the Catholic faith between an anti-abortion Catholic priest and the defrocking by the Vatican. There's got to be some woking going on in the Vatican.
Is the Vatican pro-life?
Yeah, they're pro-life. So if you're pro-life, you're anti-abortion, right? You can't be both. Some people try to be, but
okay,
it doesn't make any sense to me, Austin.
Okay, but here's the thing. What about the whole putting a fetus on?
Now, that might be overkill. Pardon the pun. But do
a little weird.
You defrock a priest because he does that?
You know what? Not my circus, not my monkeys. I don't think I can comment on that.
Well, and I'm the same way. I mean, you're in the weeds quite a bit there.
Yeah, but
it might not be in good taste at all.
People do some weird stuff with aborted fetuses.
That's true. But here you go. Once a fetus no longer is living, or I don't care what you do with my body. It may be distasteful to people, but I don't care.
Oh my God.
I grew up in the funeral home business. I mean, you'd be surprised what you have to do to make you look good after you've been, embalmed, and some people take offense to that. And some people don't want embalming. People don't want any of the cosmetics or any of that. You die as you are, and they want to be buried as you are. Of course, we have some health laws that say that you got to do certain things, but like I said, a dead fetus is a dead fetus. I'm sorry.
Is the Pope a commie?
That's an interesting scenario. It really is. I think there are a lot of practicing Catholics that question some of the things that Pope Francis does. Really, now, to what magnitude? Should they be picketing outside of the Vatican?
The judge, who is a pre-Vatican II Catholic, he only goes to the Mass in Latin. He loved Pope John Paul II. He thinks that Pope Francis is a commie.
I would lean, because I like the judge, and I think he's a learned person and does his research, and it makes sense if you really look at doctrine.
It's what do they call? What's that branch of Catholicism called? The Judaica.
Judeo.
No. What are they called? It's the ones. It's like the ones who are all commies. You know what I'm talking about.
I know
here.
what you're talking about, but I don't know the name.
Jesuits.
Yo, the Jesuits.
Jesuits.
I just spent a week with the Jesuits. Maybe they brainwashed me while I was there.
Oh God, no.
Maybe I shouldn't eat Frosted Flakes anymore.
Please, no.
Well, here's Elizabeth Fanning Price over in the comments who's asking the real questions. Where does one get an aborted fetus? That's a great question. If he did put an aborted fetus on the altar, we're so going to get demonetized this morning, which is why I need to take
That's a good question.
Yeah, which is why I need to take a break, and we need to go to a different scene here for a moment. This is a little disco dance. How we're asking our friends on the show to sign up to get a free information packet from my friends over at Lear Capital.
Oh, good.
You said that you were interested.
I'm definitely interested, yes.
Yeah, you're interested in, but you don't like to buy the gold or silver
I like
coins.
the bullion bars.
You like to buy bullion bars.
Yeah.
My friends over at Lear Capital have great deals on bullion bars as well as gold and silver coins. But my favorite package that they offer is the IRA, where you can take a portion of your retirement savings and with a tax advantage, roll part of your 401k or your Roth IRA into a gold-backed security.
And doesn't that make sense right today?
It does.
If you look at the stock market compared to the value of gold today, especially on 401ks, and we could talk about that on a whole different show.
So yeah, exactly. So I'd actually like to ask everybody who's watching right now to head over to learaustin.com and to sign up to get a free information kit. Again, totally free. They'll send you an information kit either in the email or in the snail mail, whichever you prefer. And it helps support the show. So head over to learaustin.com. That's Lear Austin, LearAustin. And if you do decide to do that, if you sign up for the free information kit, do me a favor and just let me know that you did over in the chat, in the live stream. Just say, hey, Austin, signed up for the free kit. And that way I can just kind of get an idea just how successful we are doing that this morning. So head to learaustin.com. That's learaustin.com. When we get back, we'll continue this discussion with our good friend Hal Dooley from the Wake Up America Show at wakeupamericashow.com.
Were you exposed to hazardous materials while serving in the military and have an illness or condition as a result?
If so, you may be eligible for VA benefits and services.
Whether you need health care or want to file a disability compensation claim related to military exposures, VA is here to help.
Visit va.gov/military-exposures to learn more and apply today.
I'm George. My neck isn't really thick yet, but it will be. We are so glad you're here. Please ignore my floating eyeball. It helps me spot predators who might be approaching from the sides. Dee Dee made Frenchie boy.
If there wasn't going to be somebody who was a fiery champion of liberty, somebody who would get out there and who would be aggressive, and if they wouldn't do it with more fire or passion than I had, then I would go and I would fight this battle for us. I've fought for the principles that we all share. Parties tend to be...
From below, you can see we are really pretty buff. Beefcake, yes. Look at my creamy thighs and chest. Yes, you like that?
Big brother, please focus.
Frenchie Bullshit. Please follow us for more great content and read the Frenchie Bullshit blog for more fun and cool stuff.
I'm a public defender.
I am a public defender.
I'm proud to be a public defender.
80% of Americans accused of a crime will get appointed a public defender.
Everybody from a speeding ticket to capital murder.
For every dollar we spend on public defenders, we spend $3 on prosecutors.
Public defenders have to do pretty much everything on their own.
Social workers, counselors.
Investigating is another piece of it.
The average public defender holds 300 cases annually.
You never feel like there's enough time.
Public defenders have health issues all the time.
A lot of people give up and say, I can't do this work anymore.
Gideon's Promise trains, mentors, and supports public defenders.
There are a lot of people who say that they would not still be public defenders, but for Gideon's Promise.
It's fueled me to continue on in this fight.
Gideon's Promise has changed the face of public defense.
People see us as troublemakers.
Good trouble only.
We don't make it easy. It should not be easy to take away someone's liberty.
Ever hear the one about the frog? Put a frog in a pot of boiling water and it'll jump right out.
Here's my resume again.
But put a frog in a pot of cool water and slowly heat it up, and that frog will boil. It's a lie. But as a metaphor for us and all that we go through as veterans,
real-world experience.
It's a story that rings true. We make excuses for how we feel. We push everything down. We tell ourselves the lie that it's easier to stay in that boiling water, to disconnect. And some days, maybe it is. But you've never been interested in easy. Make no mistake, reaching out is hard. Do it anyway. You're not alone. You've got this. You are not a frog.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America Show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. The conversation we were having during the break was actually kind of interesting, Hal.
Yes, it was.
We were talking a little bit about, again, more about conspiracy theories and things like that. And I was kind of explaining how when I first got into politics, I was kind of really into conspiracies until I came into contact with the skeptics community. The skeptics community is all about finding ways to understand how you engage in logical fallacies in order to ensure that you're being logical, right? So one of the things that I really enjoyed too, to help me kind of understand why the human brain is so prone to conspiracies is the whole, remember when in the 70s and 80s, people were concerned about lyrics in rock music being like, if you played a track backwards, what's that most famous rock and roll song, Stairway to Heaven. So if you play Stairway to Heaven backwards, it sounds like Hail Satan, sad Satan.
I remember that.
It's so people were concerned especially in the Satanic Panic of the 80s when I was a kid, that rock and roll music was, if you played it backwards, was sending you messages from the netherworld. But one of the things that this one skeptic by the name of Michael Shermer did was he played, a bunch of other songs and was like, okay, this sounds like, eat an omelet, eat an omelet. But the reason why, that they showed that people were willing to do that is because it's that mindset of that willingness to believe. People, it's like when we say people hear what they want to hear, that's a perfect example.
True.
You hear what you want to hear. It's like if you go out and you look for evil in the world,
you're going to find it.
You're going to find it. You'll always find it. What people will find always what they're looking for, whether it's vaccinations online and finding the mom group that confirms their biases. It's because we're all just out there trying to confirm our biases. We all are believers in something, and then we go out and we try and find something that confirms what we believe. But the logical way to look at things, Hal, is to say, well, here's a fact. Let's make a theory around this fact. And now, instead of proving the theory right, which is what most people are doing, every day, most people, and there's a reason for that. What you should be doing is trying to prove that theory wrong. Nobody wants to prove themselves wrong, Hal.
No, especially if they're receiving government grants. You got to create a crisis in order to have somebody pay to solve it.
Mm-hmm.
You know that. It's like the COVID.
Mm-hmm.
There's all kinds of theories.
Mm-hmm.
Being bantied about.
Yeah.
It's sort of like making gravy. You got a scientific incident that happened, and then you roll in some political happenings and wrap it all up into a package.
In the political gravy.
And then here you and I are sitting here in 2022 in December trying to separate out some politics from either the science of medicine or whatever it is. I mean, it's like the Kennedy assassination. How do you unravel the facts? Do we have enough facts to be able to to foster any of the theories, and we don't.
Right. Well, and it's like the swastika, right? The New York Times, the swastika in the New York Times. Maybe it was done deliberately. Maybe it was. But is that the most likely explanation? What is the most likely explanation?
It's coincidental.
Right. But people don't like that. People don't like coincidences. It's why, people think that JFK wasn't shot by Oswald. It's because people don't believe that the peasant can kill the king. It's an unsatisfying answer.
Well,
right?
no, that's true because people are nosy.
Right. And it's kind of like, with the whole vaccines causing autism, like the reason why I believe one of the reasons why people believe that vaccines cause autism is because if it occurs as a natural result of genetics, then that's very highly unsatisfying, right?
And that's probably the most logical answer too.
Well, and here's the thing, and this is the most controversial aspect of this. What I have to say, I think too that mothers cannot, if it is a genetic thing, then mothers feel blame on themselves. And it is much easier to put the blame on the doctors or big pharma and say, it's the doctors, it's big pharma's fault. It's not my fault. It's not my genes that are the reason why the child has autism, even though that's probably the most likely explanation, right? Nobody wants to believe, that's a very unsatisfying.
It is. And I deal with the other side of it.
Uh-huh.
And I think it's genetic and it happens. And I have friends that have to deal with it, and they look at it as a blessing, as a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And they're looking at mitigating the impact of autism and strengthening the positives that come from it, and not worry about the minimum. Was I shortchanged? Well, what if you have a child that's short?
Mm-hmm.
Or too tall or obese? You're going to blame somebody rather than that's just the way it is and make the best of it. And we look at this stuff all wrong most of the time. And I think you have to agree. And I'm one of those theorists that says either the glass is empty or glass is half full. That's a fact.
Jamie Marie Popo in the live stream says that people thrive on the excitement of knowing that which others are, quote, too dumb to know. There is that.
Too naive. I hate the word dumb.
Yeah.
Naive. Either I know something or I don't know something. And because I don't know something doesn't mean I'm naive.
Yeah. Jamie Marie Pope says, what if it's not the mother's genes, but the father's genes? Oh, yeah, good point. Maybe it could be.
Could be.
But again, the Occam's razor, have you heard of this?
Mm-hmm.
So the most likely explanation is usually the simplest.
Right.
The most obvious explanation for something is usually the most likely explanation. The more complicated an explanation for something becomes, the less likely it is to be true, right? Is it more likely that George Bush was an evil genius that managed to
oh boy, that was a big leap right there.
George W. Bush was an evil genius who masterminded, along with Dick Cheney and Condoleezza Rice, the destruction of the towers with SEAL Team 25 and putting in thermite in the towers and all that kind of stuff. Or is it that the unsatisfying explanation is that, a bunch of, backwoods, cave dwelling Arabs with box cutters hijacked 2 planes and crashed them into 2 towers? Well,
that's what they did.
What's the most obvious explanation? Right.
The latter. Plus, they're a lot more sophisticated.
Mm-hmm.
And talk about that conspiracy. 10 years prior to that, they tried to bomb the basement.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they did, yeah.
And unsuccessfully. And they finally, after they sent some of the back road type people from the caves, they sent them over here and they went to our best universities, compliments of us. And they didn't have any college debt because we paid for it all. And then they went back to the caves and said, hey, structurally, this is what we need to do from top down, because they don't build them from top down and they were very successful. So even though the back cave type people, they do have some educational knowledge.
Have we offended everybody here today?
I hope so. Have you been offended? Have I said anything to offend you?
I mean, we've been talking about, a little bit, yes. We have been anti-Semitism, Catholicism.
Well, we've talked about those issues.
Pro-Trump priests, autism for kids, conspiracy theories, 9/11. We have probably offended everybody today.
Well, that's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yes.
We've given them food for thought.
Yes. I don't know what to say because it's 9 a.m. and I would love to continue on, but we can't because we've got another radio show.
There's another day.
Yes.
There's always another day.
Hey, did you enjoy seeing Hal on the show? Give him a round of applause.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you to Hal Dooley for sticking around for us. And we'll have to have him back again really soon. Hal, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Appreciate being here, and thank you.
Yeah, so make sure you give Hal a round of applause by liking, subscribing, and hit that bell notification icon. Have a Merry Christmas, and we'll see you tomorrow on the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com.
I like shooting things, but whenever I can't shoot something, I like to cut things. My life isn't all about shooting and stabbing and cutting, though. Sometimes I have to do actual work, but when I work, I still like to have fun. And there's nothing less fun than trying to cut with a crappy knife. Thankfully, from the ancient sect of Christian knights, who also loved cutting and stabbing, comes a new implement that has received my personal blessing, the Templar knife. Like the ancient sword of Excalibur, you don't choose a Templar knife, it chooses you. You just decide what kind you want on the website first, however, and then order it online, and then it chooses you. The Templar knife comes in a variety of shapes. As a man of culture and taste, I have decided I will never use a terrible knife again. And thanks to the inspiration provided by this excellent product, I have decided to launch a new crusade against anyone using less than superior knives. Join me, brothers and sisters, by visiting uppercuttactical.com/pages/Templar-knives. That's a lot of slashes. For that, you'll need a Templar knife. For 10% off, use code AP for Liberty and join me in a quest for glory, for liberty, for Christendom, for the Templar knife. Get yours today.
Fire.
Your printing company stinks. They charge you too much money and they don't love America enough. We've got the solution. Patriot Printing USA. Whether you're running for office, saving souls, or just need business cards that will get you the new job you've been looking for, Patriot Printing USA has got you covered with the best prices around. Palm cards, brochures, bumper stickers, door hangers, you name it, we've got it. PatriotPrintingUSA.com. That's PatriotPrintingUSA.com.
Want an engaging website to boost your business? You're just a click away from 5-star Fiverr talent. Hundreds of freelancer skills like web design. Head to Fiverr.com today and get something started.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
I would remind you that extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice.
It is better to settle these matters in the courts than on the streets, and new laws are needed at every level. But law alone cannot make men see right.